I wish these were better. Mobile Suit Gundam side story The Blue Destiny is a trilogy of first-person mecha action games for the Sega Saturn. A combination that caught my curiosity while looking at stuff to buy one night. There's just something that really draws me in whenever devs throw in a cockpit view into any vehicle-based game. I love it. Unfortunately, a cool premise can only carry so far, and when it's the gameplay that's lacking, no gimmick in the world is going to save it. They're not bad games, but more needing to refine their ideas because there is something here just not fully realized. Before much of anything, however, there is one thing I want to talk about. Blue Destiny 1 is easily the weakest of the three, not since you're only limited to the GM, but it feels undercooked. I was worried my copy was messed up since during these briefing segments it sounds like there should be some readouts or a character portrait or something, but after looking at a few other people's gameplay footage, that's just how it is. Blue Destiny 2 and 3 have a bit more polish, with briefings displayed as expected, and the map screen is improved in addition to having a mini-map. They also support the Virtual On twin-stick controller should you have one. The Blue Destiny takes place during the One-Year War, as many Gundam stories do. You play as Yu Kajima of the Earth Federation forces alongside your squad mates Sumina and Philip, though they go off and do their own thing most of the time. You start out in a GM, but eventually get the Blue Destiny Unit 1, a modified Gundam ground type that, personally speaking, is a really good looking and distinct mobile suit. The main purpose of this Gundam is to test the exam system, giving any pilot new type combat capabilities through the mobile suit itself. Blue Destiny looks quite good, honestly. All of the models are clearly identifiable and pop out, and while they're very low polygon, they are accurate. The cockpit's easy to read and understand, and there's even a little bit of stylistic detail between the different mobile suits. It runs quick and, most importantly, consistent. This footage was captured on an emulator, but my Saturn played the exact same. There is music, but it's sparsely used during gameplay and more left for in-between segments like cutscenes and the results screens. Not like you're missing much though, I found it was more fun to load up some of the anime soundtracks and let those play in the background. Controls function responsibly and fairly intuitively, though LNR for turning takes a little getting used to. Primary fire is through B, A jumps and hovers if held, and C is your lock-on, which only targets enemy mobile suits. Dashing and hovering affect your temperature gauge displayed center in the cockpit, so while you'll be doing a lot of both for combat maneuvers, you do not want to overheat as both actions will be unavailable for a few seconds, leaving you completely exposed. X adjusts the angle of attack, cycling down for ground targets like armored vehicles or up for higher placed turrets. Y is a limited secondary explosive, either a grenade or a missile based on the mobile suit piloted. Z has two functions. In Blue Destiny 1, it toggles the score on your HUD, while in Blue Destiny 2 and 3, it's the brake, stopping all dash movement and snapping to the current locked-on target. I only ever used it during the final battle, but it is useful. Which brings us to the main issue, combat. Ultimately, it feels like it's designed to work in a specific circumstance of one-on-one when your mobile suit is evenly matched, but most of the game takes place in open areas against many lesser-powered enemy mobile suits. For example, you're up against a Zaku hammering away at its armor with a machine gun and knocking it over with your beam saber. It dodges on occasion and can even block and counterattack your melee if you don't stagger first, giving them some options against you. They go down easily, but not quickly, dragging out a fight longer than it should take. There will be many Zakus and similar enemies scattered throughout each stage, and all of them don't put up much of a challenge individually, so the game likes to throw encounters in numbers. You can really only focus on attacking one while dodging the others, but since it takes so long to kill a single Zaku, you're likely to take damage and get staggered yourself from enemies lining up attacks one after the other. It's punishment for messing up, sure, but like everything else, it's drawn out. Of course, the solution to that is don't get hit, and draw mobile suits away from the group, but that deprives you of challenge. DOMs kind of fix this by being extremely mobile, circling you like crazy and punishing your failed attacks swiftly. In a one-on-one, they're good enemies. Unfortunately, they're usually accompanied by Zakus, which can hurt you with more ranged attacks or engage in melee as well. And if you get into a battle with 2 or more DOMs, prepare for a real fight. Blue Destiny's combat is at its peak during boss battles. Fighting Nimbus in his F-Read is fun because he's got the same damage potential and agility as you. It keeps you on the move constantly, and just about every hit you get in feels pretty rewarding since you did it right. When you get hit, you actually get hurt. It's no longer just an annoyance, but some real damage. I did get his AI to mess up and get in some dirty hits in one battle, but he made up for it against me in the final fight. On a side note, I have a personal gripe with the primary weapons. The machine gun isn't really a machine gun. Its rate of fire is very low, 1 shot per button press, and damage output is kind of weak. The beam rifle fits this rate of fire and has higher damage, but it's only given to you in the very end of Blue Destiny 3. You do have your Vulcans as far as automatic weapons go, but the damage output is so minimal in comparison to everything you might as well not use them. Each of the 3 games has 5 missions, ranging from enemy mobile suit destruction, to base defense, to clearing out a path in an escort mission, back to enemy mobile suit destruction. They're not very long at all to play through, which is good since they must be cleared in one go, no saving midway through. A mission select option is unlocked after you beat each entry to practice or get high scores on, but that's about it. The final battle with Nimbus is the only time that you're out in space in the main game, which kinda cleverly cheats to simulate. You've got a plane to move around on like normal, but there's one above you that you switch to by hitting jump. Combine that with dashing, and you're given a decent illusion of space combat, but all the debris being parallel with each other on these two planes gives it away pretty quickly. Completing Blue Destiny 3 gives you an option to fight a simulation of Amuro and his Gundam in another space battle set against the Earth. That's not the end of the Blue Destiny, however. There were two mangas. The RX-79 BD1 would go on to appear in its share of Gundam games, and of course Gunpla model kits. And in 2014, there was one other thing. Mobile Suit Gundam Side Stories is a third-person mecha action game primarily depicting the missing Link plotline, but more importantly includes remake scenarios from many earlier Gundam games. And the one with the most love given to it is the Blue Destiny. Side Stories' Blue Destiny chapter is a bit more streamlined, but it hits the major plot points and missions from the Saturn games, just in Side Stories' engine and gameplay. It's a typical action game with competent controls, nothing out of the ordinary. Unfortunately, it has a lot of slowdown that can bring the system to a crawl, especially when a lot of mobile suits are getting destroyed. Aside from that, it's kind of fun, and definitely novel to be playing these games again after 2 generations of consoles. You're given the ability to switch between characters at any time in the mission, though in this particular scenario, once you have the BD1, Summonet and Philip might as well function as extra chances to stay alive if Yu takes too much damage and needs to repair. Time to kill has been adjusted, and while gameplay is monotonous, it's nowhere near as slow-paced as the Saturn games. The special attacks are ripped straight from the main game, but useful in a pinch, and the exam system gives you a decent boost at just about everything. And in a personal win, the machine gun feels like it should. Better rate of fire, decent-ish damage. Finishing the Blue Destiny scenario gives you the Nimbus scenario, giving you the chance to play as Nimbus in his F-Read and the Blue Destiny unit too. It's not much more than a bonus to the main storyline, but it's neat, and dual beam sabers is fun. Overall, I'm glad that the Blue Destiny got a revisit in Side Stories, and Side Stories itself is an alright entry, but one problem remains. This is just another third-person Gundam game. The draw of the Blue Destiny for me was because of the first-person cockpit view, since that's always a neat gimmick. I'd really love to have seen more Gundam games like this, but oh well. And I know, I haven't played it yet, but I'll get around to Rise from the Ashes at some point. Thank you for watching. Next one's gonna be a little bit more informal, but I have to celebrate one of my favorite games of all time.